world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen.
Then with a crash came a great ringing shout. Ra, Ra.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
It's talking about Tolkien, Ben.
It's talking about Tolkien, Nate. We're both awake.
It is.
Refreshed. Ready to go.
God damn right we are.
We're definitely not crumbling with middle age.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm a young buck.
Yeah.
So. This is chapter 3 of The Two Towers, the Uruk'hai, also known as Pippin's Big Day Out.
It is notable for being the first chapter from Pippin's perspective.
And the first time that I can remember where he's not a complete and total fuck up who does nothing right.
I guess
this is strangely this is his time to shine.
Well, going by the logic of the book, Pippin must have told this story to Frodo. So I guess we only have his word for most of this because Merry is unconscious.
I see. So you're saying that Pippin is a bold-faced liar, and none of this is true, and he is still a humongous fuck up.
Well, we can reasonably assume that the parts Merry is conscious for are true.
Yeah, because Merry's cool.
Yeah, I don't think Merry would let him get away with that. So, no, I kid, of course. There's no reason to think that this is not true. The one thing that I guess might...
Other than the fact that it's Pippin, and he hasn't been at all useful this entire time. But yeah.
The one thing that might be surprising is that Pippin managed to remember the names of all the orcs.
Hey. He's got that PTSD.
Yeah, he might remember it just way too clearly. Oh, unable to forget.
He's been turning those names over in his head ever since it happened.
There is a little bit in this chapter about the Hobbit reaction to traumatic stress. And it was very English. You kind of wonder if it doesn't come right from Tolkien's experience in war.
And he remembers way too clearly the names of people that he fought and killed.
Well, it's funny. So we'll talk about, what happens in the chapter. Obviously, this is a chapter that occurs during the previous 2 chapters, kind of. This is the orcs running across the plains of Rohan, and this is what happened to Pippin and Merry while Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli were trying to track them down.
They were getting that green scent in their nostrils while the hobbits were being dragged or force marched across the plain.
Yeah, and then this chapter ends with Éomer in an epic duel with the lead Uruk'hai, killing him as the hobbits are like, well, that's our cue. No, there's a line where they say, after this torture and all this stuff, they're beaten, they're tied, they're forced to run, they're starved, denied water. The only thing they're given is this orcish grunt candy to keep them going.
Is that what that is?
It's some
booze or something is what they thought it was.
I'm interested in that drink. I never paid attention to it before this reading.
Yeah, they said it was orcish medicine, and then they said it was booze. My first quote, or my first note for that was, does everyone just have better medicine than people, like humans?
Yeah.
And
I mean, as an American, Nate,
Ours is like, let's just rub dirt in it.
as an American,
Hey, we've got
Nate,
good medicine, Ben.
if you can
America
get it,
has great medicine.
if you can get it,
It's not the medicine that's the problem in America.
No,
all
but
right, we've got medicine all over the place. It's just like I need to take some credit history before I'm willing to part with it. You know,
and
I need to see like you got any assets that maybe you could sell off. Do you have a house that maybe we could go after just in case you can't afford my ridiculous medicine prices?
And do you think Grishnak could afford the very best?
I am assuming that. Well, here's the thing.
Does
Ben. It
Ugluk
doesn't matter.
have proper coverage?
Is it better than human medicine in this world? And it sounds like yes. It sounds like even though he can't afford the best orcish medicine, it's still better than our Rohan plan that we just got covered through Etna, of course, where it's just to
you think
rub
Etna's
dirt in
big
it.
in Rohan?
Yeah, it's got that. When your insurance, when the guy in charge of buying your insurance, his name is Wormtongue, you're getting that Etna insurance. Fuck you, Etna. Pay me my money. Anyway,
Got a little real there. Yeah. I don't know if do you want to do the summary real quick before we dive into specifics?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Before we dive into specifics on Etna, absolutely. Let's do it. So, yeah, it starts out with Pippin's coming to, and he's like piecing together what happened because they have been bound and captured. And Merry actually does some damage to the orcs when they run into them. But the orcs kick their ass effortlessly. And then Boromir comes in. And he blows his horn. And the orcs all run away. We're going to find out these are mountain orcs who are little babies who run away if you blow a horn loudly enough at them. And so our big, tough, Chadley, Uruk'hai orcs, they're going to have to come in and they're going to have to do all the grunt work, all the dirty work again, like they do all the time. It's always them cleaning up all the other orc tribe messes. So, and Pippin recounts that Boromir must have fought like 100 of them.
There are, quote, fully 200 remaining when the Riders of Rohan come upon them.
Yeah. So
Boromir was not fighting his way out of that.
Boromir was having an off day. He was a little distraught with the whole thing with Frodo. I bet you, if he had a good breakfast instead of a side of depression, he could have taken that and then some.
Boromir's weakness is 200 genetically engineered super monsters.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that.
Sorry, 201, Ben. You can take the first 200, no problem. It's anything over that, though, yeah, it's not happening.
Okay. That's the logic.
And Pippin wishes Gandalf never persuaded Elrond to let him come along.
I circled that so many times. I was like,
damn it, Gandalf, how could you let me come on this dangerous adventure? Don't you know I'm shit? Come on. You should have known.
I do not remember what happens when Pippin meets Gandalf the White, but I hope he's slapped.
Well, I think what happens is Gandalf the White rolls into Isengard and Pippin's dancing on top of Saruman's dignity and pride, just doing a jovial dance, probably drunk, pissing on Isengard Tower, I think that's what happened.
Well, I know they run into Treebeard. We're not going to talk about that. I don't want to get too far ahead because I don't want to get too far ahead.
So there's 2 or 3, we find out 3 tribes of orcs present. There's northern orcs from the mines whose only job here is to get revenge and kill everyone. There's orcs from the east who want to deliver the hobbits to a Nazgul who is on the north bank of the river. and is on one of his flying creatures. If you recall, Legolas shot that thing.
Legolas killed that thing. He's on a new one.
Yeah, because as the Uruk'hai leader, Ugluk, I imagine all these guys are talking like Goldar from the Power Rangers, by the way. Anyway, Ugluk is
Maybe
the
a
leader.
little less cartoony.
No, absolutely not.
Rita.
So he's the leader of the Isengard orcs. And
the Fighting Uruk'hai.
Yeah.
Who always have to do everything.
Right. My alma mater.
Your alma mater. Okay.
He wants to deliver them to Saruman, and because he is bigger and stronger and removes some orc heads from their shoulders, he wins the argument. And Grishnak is the leader of the Mordor clan, and he slips away as his fellow orcs get their heads removed. So we're going to Isengard. We're not going to that Nazgul. In fact, later on, Ugluk's going to talk some shit on the Nazgul. We'll get to that.
All right. I agree so far.
Oh, yeah, he does point out his was the tribe that slew Boromir. We weren't running away when he blew his horn. You'd probably still be running if it weren't for us. Luckily, we were there to do all the work again. So it's our prize. It's our hobbits. We're telling you where we're going. You don't like that? Give me your head. You don't get it anymore.
Give me your head. Give me your head. That's how they do it.
So meanwhile, one of the dead orcs falls like on Pippin during this melee, and Pippin sees a knife. He uses that to cut his arm boundings. Is that the word I want to use? Bindings?
It would be bindings. Yeah, that's just English. But
hey, I'm inventing new English, and Tolkien's going to be spinning in his grave by the time we're done.
No,
he's not already.
This is bindings. Yes, they're bound hand and foot at this point.
They're bind hand and foot.
Okay.
So
we'll talk about verb tenses later.
he cuts those up, and then he ties them back together to make it look like he's still bind, but he is not bound. He is, in fact,
free.
Not. He can easily just untie that shit and be free.
Okay.
Merry, on the other hand, is entirely unconscious this entire time.
Yeah, Merry he had a head wound or something.
Yeah, he has a big scar on his head now.
They keep giving him the orcish medicine.
Yeah, this is when they give him the orcish medicine. They rub some junk in his wound. So that's what we do.
Oh yeah, they do. They have a salve, I guess, that they put on it.
Salve and then booze.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah, it gets them back on their feet.
Yeah, they're healing him after orc fashion. Yes.
And they were content to just kind of like drag the hobbits for a bit, but now they have to like climb down to get to the plains, that green scent that's down there. And
the green smell, yes.
Green smell, whatever. So that's why they're getting them on their feet. They bind their feet, and they force them to march. Mary's like, "Oh, you're here too. What do you think about bed and breakfast?" And they're like, "No, shut the fuck up. None of that. No talking to each other, or there'll be so much fucking bed and breakfast. You're going to get more bed and breakfast than you can handle."
They do say that.
Climb down that mountain. I know it's a ravine, but mountain sounds cooler. So.
Yeah, they do actually say the bed and breakfast line.
Yes.
Which is strange. I don't know if I highlighted that one.
Merry and Pippin are affected by the green smell when they get down to that plain.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it said that it lightened them or something. Also, unfortunately for these Uruk'hai, some scouts found a single horseman who got away. And since he got away, he's going to go warn the cursed horse breeders. Now they're going to be hunted by them, so they got to run, which means these hobbits got to run. Luckily, we brought our whips, boys.
Are you thinking of the oh god, what's that YouTube channel?
Saruman.
Manflesh. I'll have to take a clip out of that, and I'll have to credit him, because that's the greatest thing that has ever come from the movies.
Yeah.
Orcs with normal voices. I forget who does it. That is such a great meme.
So the mountain orcs, who are easily the shittiest of the three tribes by far, they're like, well, what are we going to do at sunrise? And Ugluk is like, oh, yeah, we're going to sit down, we're going to have a nice picnic, and we're just going to wait for all those horse breeders to come. What the fuck do you think we're going to do? We're going to keep running. And he's like, well, we can't run during the daylight. And he promises, you're going to be running one way or another. I'm going to be behind you, and if I'm behind you, you're running. Yeah. The Uruk'hai seem to not be fazed by this sun bullshit. Or if they are, it's nowhere near as much as the other orcs, especially the really terrible ones from Moria, who seem to walk like old men. Not me. I'm not an old man, but, other people who aren't old.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
I can't tell, because we've talked before about how Mordor also has its own sort of, unfortunately, breed of Uruk. And I don't know if Grishnak's party is such a creature, like if they are also Uruks. And
well, they're not as big and Chadley as the Uruk'hai.
The orcs from Mordor the orcs from Moria are the classic Morgoth,
little baby orcs.
They do have
shame and dishonor.
Well, they're built
to our orc names.
They're built for the night. Because that's they do mention that the orcs from Moria have far superior night vision.
Yeah,
but it doesn't do them a lot of good.
It's a shame that 12 hours of the day there's enough light for normal people to see, and also you can't move very fast when it's light out.
Well, if you've lived like for generations in a cave.
Sounds like a you problem. Maybe you should have moved out of your parents' basement.
Maybe you should have moved out of Morgoth's basement.
Yeah. He's not even around anymore. I don't know why you're hanging out with now his kid.
He's it's not his kid. Yeah, it's his.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like his friend that hung out too much. Like an adult male friend that was just always there for some reason.
The Elon Musk to his Donald Trump.
That is exactly how I would describe Sauron.
Except they're not fighting each other on Twitter.
Not yet.
Middle Earth Twitter.
He's going to be coming back through the doors of night for that final battle. He doesn't have feet, though. So that's going to be interesting.
So Pippin, again, decides, I'm going to leave my mark. And he briefly breaks away from the orcs that he's running with, and he leaves his brooch before they recapture him. And they promise that they won't beat him to a bloody pulp right here and now, because he needs to be returned intact and fresh to Saruman. But afterwards, oh man, you're gonna get so tortured.
You know what's
double torture for you for that?
You know what's become hard to imagine over time is what Ugluk actually says to him is, "That's not all," he snarled, turning to Pippin. "I shan't forget. Payment is only put off. Leg it." I'm like, Would an orc say I shan't forget? That's not how they talk in the Peter Jackson one.
Maybe they should have. Maybe they should have had normal voices.
They should.
Saruman.
I shan't forget that. Payment is only put off. Leg it. God,
Yeah,
I
he
love
should have
that
definitely had like a Brooklyn accent, you know.
guy. I'm running here. Fucking horse lords.
So Pippin assumed everyone just went with Frodo, but he still decided to leave this brooch. So, you know, if anyone does happen to be following after us, which is unlikely,
They're gonna know
Oh,
I have a
no.
nice brooch.
had a nice brooch. So now they're getting some bread and some flesh. Pippin doesn't eat that flesh.
No, because
He doesn't know where they sourced it from. He doesn't know if it's been grass fed or not, and he doesn't trust that it's not like Boromir or something.
well, that's because he has heard Ugluk say,
Saruman feeds him men.
"We are the Fighting Uruk'hai. We slew the great warrior. We took the prisoners. We are the servants of Saruman the Wise, the White Hand, the hand that gives us man's flesh to eat."
Yeah.
So he has some reason to suspect he might not want to eat that. But we know that it's not Boromir because he's floating down the river. There was a song about
Pippin
it.
doesn't know. Pippin didn't hear that song.
Well, he will. It's a hit. Breakout hit of the green smell.
Also, these orcs have slant eyes, Ben.
Yeah,
And they keep referring to
I'm aware.
to the men as white skins.
Yeah. So I'm confused about. And this is a classic Tolkien. We still don't know what an elf looks like. We still don't, other than a beard, we don't know really what a dwarf looks like.
I know what they look like.
But the orcs are described as both having like black skin and sallow skin, and the only thing they're never described as having is green skin. But I do understand why fantasy has kind of settled on that because there is an uncomfortableness to them. They're described as I think we talked about this when Aragorn found some of the orcs. They're swart, they're hairy, they're slant-eyed, which I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. I do think there is. All right, I got to do it. It's time. The time has come.
Oh God.
Let's talk about the racism. Okay. I do not think Tolkien was a racist. I do not think he intends these to be like people of African descent. In fact, I have some reason to believe he intends them to be people of other descent. Hang on.
Asian.
Kind of.
Okay.
The orcs are definitely stated to be corruptions of the human form seen in elves and men. They are, oh boy. They are or were squat, broad, flat-nosed, sallow-skinned, with wide mouths and slant eyes. In fact, degraded and repulsive versions of the, to Europeans, this is in parentheses, least lovely Mongol types. This is from Tolkien. This is from his letters. It's from letter 210 to Forrest J. Ackerman. So there's a couple of things. I guess he's saying they look like Mongols, but which I take to mean Mongolian people. I don't know if it has any other meaning. This is not the best part of Tolkien. It would be irresponsible not to address it. I don't think he was a racist, but I do think this one.
Well, what does Brian Herbert have to say?
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's worth maybe mentioning once again here that the orcs are created by Morgoth. They're created to be his servants. They're the boogeymen. They're the bad guys. They're the enemies of elves and men and dwarves. Initially, Melkor creates them whole cloth. Like he creates them from mud and slime, just like is described in the movies. But the orcs then have too much personality for that. They seem to be fully sentient, sapient creatures capable of the full range of, human experience. And if that's the case, then Morgoth has created life, like true intelligent life. And Tolkien is not willing then to give Satan that much power. He reserves true creation for God alone, especially the true creation of sentient and souled creatures. So then he gets to the way of thinking of like, okay, well, if Morgoth can't create life, can he corrupt it? So if he corrupts it, then that gets him around that theological problem. But now I have this other problem of, what does that say about the world? You can torture people into being monsters. I guess maybe you can, but like then there's no. I don't talk about redemption for the orcs. So it's the orc problem is the biggest problem in Lord of the Rings for me. I don't know if other people agree with that, but yeah. From the description of their appearance to the nature of their existence, orcs are kind of a problem. And it just gets worse when he writes a chapter about them because like these orcs seem like people.
Yeah.
They have politics.
Asshole people.
Well, they're on the wrong side of this fight, but they have politics, preferences, families. Like the mountain orcs are here for revenge. They're here to avenge the orcs that were killed in Moria, which is in medieval times like a moral duty. That's what, or especially in the Germanic, Norse inspired stuff that this is drawing from, not avenging your kin. I mean, you might as well kill them yourself. Like, you have to avenge your kin. The greatest possible crime is kinslaying. And like it's the glue that holds society together. So the orcs are participating in a human-like society. It's a problem, and I think it's a problem that becomes more apparent as he writes. I don't think I think this is one of those problems an author discovers, like as they write, that the orcs have grown far beyond what he intended them to be, which is just simple creatures that took orders, like robotic creatures almost. But now
maybe they should have built robots.
I think that's what it started out as. Like trolls are kind of robotic, but even then he gave the trolls too much personality. We've got Bill the Troll. Come on.
Yeah, but then we took that personality away when Sauron dominated trolls.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a theological problem with the orcs. There's a spiritual problem with the orcs. There's an uncomfortable racial problem with the orcs. There's no getting around that. I'm sorry, that was quite the detour. I just wanted to cover that part of the letters because it is there.
Okay. So, Grishnak returns. The Uruk'hai send the Northerners running towards the forest so we don't get murdered by a bunch of horsemen. And Grishnak returns, and I guess he returns with more orcs, it sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds like they were expecting
when...
reinforcements from both sides, I think. The Uruk'hai are expecting reinforcements through the forest as well.
Yeah, way to get ahead of me, Ben.
I'm sorry.
But this is where the Uruk'hai chief shits all over the Nazgul. Like, oh, what? Why isn't he here? Did he get another one of his mounts shot out from under him?
He does say that.
Yeah, I've never seen a Nazgul, but I'm not all that impressed.
Yeah, it's an I'll read a little bit of that conversation because it is interesting. Grishnak says, "I left a fool," meaning Ugluk. He left Ugluk because he was a fool. But unfortunately, there were some stout fellows with him that were too good to lose, and I knew you'd lead them into a mess, so I've come to help. Splendid, laughed Ugluk. Unless you've got some guts for fighting, you've taken the wrong way. Lugbears was your road. The Whiteskins are coming. What's happened to your precious Nazgul? Has he had another mount shot from under him? Now, if you'd brought him along, that might have been useful, if these Nazgul are all they make out.
We're saving him.
Yeah, Grishnak responds...
Can't be on this side of the river.
Grishnak responds, you speak of what is deep beyond the reach of your muddy dreams, Ugluk. Nazgul. All that they make out. One day you'll wish that you had not said that, ape. You ought to know that they're the apple of the great eye. But the winged Nazgul, not yet, not yet. He won't let them show themselves across the great river yet. So it's an interesting through current in Grishnak's character. Like, to be perfectly frank, I do not remember Grishnak and Ugluk.
I remember them because Ugluk says, meat's back on the table, boys.
No, he doesn't. And in the movie, it's menu.
Whatever. Why would they have menus?
That's the problem, isn't it?
Okay. I like table because that makes more sense.
Yes,
they have tables.
They do have tables. Yeah. There's been so many people that pointed out that, like, that implies orcs have ordered off of a menu before. And it's like, did you ever consider that maybe it's just like obviously not a line from the book? Like the most obviously not from the book line.
I mean, they do say the words "you're cooked."
I noticed like that. It's like so fucking Gen weird. Z. We're gonna talk about that. They say "you're cooked" in the exact way. Is that? Did Gen Z
toilet?
Did Gen Z bring that back? Was that a term?
I'm sure that it's probably a term.
Yeah,
you could. Yeah,
that was so crazy. That was so crazy in 2025 to read "you're cooked" coming from an orc and all this Tolkien speak in the exact way one would use it today. It's not like we're pulling it out of context. That's what he says. But no, I like the dynamic between Grishnak and Ugluk because you're getting a look at the dynamic between Sauron and Saruman, which it's different than it is in the movie. In the movie, Saruman is saying we must join with Sauron, and he says the same thing to Gandalf here. But here he's like, we're going to pretend to join him. We're going to pretend to join him, and then like we're going to wait for a moment, and then we're going to get him. And here it's like Saruman is all but in open rebellion of Mordor.
Yeah.
And the orcs know it. And that's something that's not super portrayed well in the movies. They do make an effort at it, but in the books, the orcs are much more intelligent. Grishnak knows exactly what's going on.
Sounds like he knows more than he's supposed to know, though.
Well, that's what
they do mention.
That's what Ugluk says, and maybe Grishnak is planning on because he searches Merry and Pippin. Maybe Grishnak is planning on taking the ring for himself. But it sounds like Grishnak.
All hail Grishnak, the new Dark Lord.
Yeah, but it sounds like Grishnak is pretty well aware of the capabilities of the Nazgul. So he's got a ways to go, even with the ring,
Yeah, he just has to train with it. Push-ups, sit-ups, and a lot of juice.
He's
Ben.
a training arc.
Yeah,
gotta get his chi up. See if he can.
that way he can dominate the 9, and then
And once he's got the 9, I mean Sauron. How tough can he be?
Easy.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that is...
the 9 did lose to a geriatric man with a fireball fetish, but I'm sure if I'm in charge, it'll be the 10, and the 10 of us can kick Sauron's ass.
Yeah, Team 10. But I don't know if that's what Ugluk is accusing him of. There's also another thing of, I don't know how long orcs live.
Too long.
I don't know how old Grishnak actually is. Because it certainly seems like Ugluk is younger.
Yeah, I assume Ugluk was just spawned like earlier in this war.
He was probably, so they're not spawned full grown from the earth as they are in the movie. Things move much quicker in the movie. You have to remember how Frodo was sitting there for over a decade with the ring while Sauron was preparing for war and while Saruman was thinking up his betrayal. I think
we should have gone faster.
Yeah, Ugluk is at a minimum in his teens.
That checks out based on the way he's saying you're cooked.
I love so much how that worked out. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, the dynamics here, that Grishnak seems to consider Saruman a usurper and is personally offended by Saruman's insinuation that he deserves to be in charge and giving orders. The orcs in the movies don't seem capable of that kind of questioning of authority. And I think it adds a good dimension to their characters. I think it's telling that Tolkien couldn't help but make them more well-rounded people, whether he wanted to or not. But go on.
So Pippin really wished now that he had read a map or done literally anything in Rivendell when they had all that time. Remember when he saw the Misty Mountains and he was like, all right, that's Mount Doom, right? We just go right up there and chuck the ring in. That was pretty easy. It was like a week-long trip. Everyone was just looking at him like, you stupid hobbit. You've literally spent the entire last season doing nothing. So,
to be
Pippin is biting him in the ass now.
Yeah, he doesn't know where the fuck he is or what he's doing. Or it never occurred to Pippin that there could be, and God bless people without anxiety problems. I don't know how y'all make it. It never occurred to Pippin that he might become separated from the group.
Yeah.
On a hike,
he always
through the
thought he would
middle
at
of
least
nowhere.
be with Gandalf. If not Gandalf, then Strider. If not Strider, then at least Frodo. Why did he need to be prepared? He's got all these other much more capable people around him. Boromir was going to see us through.
Pippin, you're not prepared for a traditional hike, let alone the quest for Mount Doom. What the fuck?
I had a friend who basically said, I'd say came to, as in he started remembering things around. What he had apparently done is got super plastered, got a plane ticket.
Oh my God.
He came to in Vegas and he realized that he had taped a brick of weed to his back. And he was like, oh boy, what am I doing and how do I get home?
What did you say he took?
He had a... It sounds like that's his description, not mine. But like a brick.
Yeah, no. What did you say he took to wind up in this position?
I have no idea. I think he was mixing a lot of alcohol with something else. And he, I guess, was like, yeah, you know what? I could go to Vegas. Let's go to Vegas. And then he started realizing where he was when the plane touched down, and he was like,
oh, I guess I gotta go back now. Like, that's what I thought when you said God bless people who don't have anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I'm gonna go off here. Like, we were about to. So here on Talking About Tolkien, sometimes we make fun of the book we're reading by talking about how ridiculous the situation might be. And I was prepared to consider that Pippin was just ridiculously underprepared and that it was a cartoonish level of underpreparedness. But then you busted out with this apparently true anecdote of a man who just had a break with reality, wound up in Vegas, and then was like, oh, I guess I gotta go home. That is the most magical thing I've heard in this story of Swords and Sorcery. And he just accidentally smuggled some drugs.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm assuming this is at the time when weed is illegal.
Yeah. I mean, it's still illegal here, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, the horses have now surrounded the orcs. And the orders are kill the halflings if they break through, but they're going to try and push their way into the forest. Mahur? Mahur? Is that his name?
Oh, boy.
Mahur?
Why do you keep trying? Let me see.
Well, this guy's in the forest.
I would say Malhur, yeah.
Mahur? He's in the forest.
Mauhur.
He's an Uruk'hai. He's in the forest. Reinforcements. We just gotta wait. So the men are gonna wait till day for an all-out attack.
I'll be honest. I thought Malhur was gonna be a little bit bigger of a deal than he wound up being.
Yeah,
because he does come. I thought he was going to be killed in the forest or something, and the reinforcements never came. But then they come.
Yeah. The men harass the orcs all night, and while that's happening, Grish just goes over and he starts feeling up Pippin.
Hey, what are you doing? You got the ring? What are you doing? Let me tell you. Let me rub your hamstring. Yeah.
You're not gonna find it by just groping around for it. It's hard to find.
We talk about the same thing, guy? Because I think I found it. I think I found it.
Yeah, what are you talking about? This is just what I do to everyone that I capture.
Gollum, nothing, my precious. So Pippin's flirting with this orc.
He's trying to bargain, like, hey, entire legs, you know.
Please picture the scenario that Peter Jackson chose not to adapt. Pippin is getting filled up by an orc. This is what Pippin says.
Hey, what are you doing, guy?
Now he's getting filled up. The guy's grabbing his legs, rubbing his back, and Pippin.
That's not a knife in my pocket.
Pippin
I'm happy
goes,
to see you.
I don't think you will find it that way, he whispered. It isn't easy to find.
No, it's right here. I'm seeing it.
Find it, said Grishnok. His fingers, I'll do the Goldar voice for you. His fingers crawling and gripped Pippin's shoulder. Find what? What are you talking about, little one? For a moment, Pippin was silent. Then suddenly, in the darkness, he made a noise in his throat. Gulp! Gulp! Nothing, my precious. The hobbits felt Grishnok's fingers twitch. Oh, the goblin said softly. That's what it means, is it? Oh, very dangerous, my little ones. Perhaps, said Merry, now alert and aware of Pippin's guess. Perhaps, and not only for us. Still, you know your own business best. Do you want it or not? And what would you give for it? Do I want it? Do I want it? Tolkien,
I'll give you a pack of cigarettes afterwards.
Tolkien, you're such an innocent boy. No, I'm sorry. It gets better. What would I give for it? What do you mean? We mean, said Pippin, choosing his words carefully, that it's no good groping in the dark. We could save you time and trouble, but you must shut up. But you must untie our legs first, or we'll do nothing and say nothing. My dear, tender little fools, hissed Grisnack. Everything you have and everything you know will be got out of you in time. Everything. I'm going to stop now. I got to stop now.
Dropped out of sweatpants.
It's elvish sweatpants. They're magic sweatpants, but the elves just call them sweatpants.
Yeah, so he decides to just grab the hobbits. He has a lot invested in his stealth, so he passes a pretty high stealth check, gets both the hobbits out, and then when he stands up to make a break for it with the hobbits, there's a horse over it, and I think he gets. I don't think he gets stabbed yet. No, what he does is. He pulls out his knife. It reflects a nearby fire. Yeah, I guess because his knife.
He has a sword and a knife.
So he pulls out his sword to kill the hobbits. It reflects the firelight. He gets shot in the hand. Then he gets run through with the spear. He's gone. He's not coming back from that. He's not going to be in the third book, Ben.
This is book 3.
Yeah, you're right. He's not going to be in book 5, Ben. He's done.
Is this one of your Rush Hour 2?
I was about to say it, Ben.
Yeah. Okay.
He ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3.
Yeah.
So this is the horse version of Rush Hour.
This is the horse version of Rush Hour? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
All right, I tuned out there for a minute. Okay. That's exactly how the academics describe this chapter. It's the horse version of Rush Hour.
Again, Pippin's big day out. So they have the elven cloaks over them, so they're not seen by the horses. And then some fighting happens. Our good friend, guy who comes from the forest, whose name I'm not going to attempt again.
Maher?
They get like he comes out of the forest and he gets effortlessly tossed aside. Didn't work out so well.
A portion of the Rohirrim ride out to take him down.
And the rest just close the net around. And because of that, Merry and Pippin are out on the other side of the Rohirrim, and so they just crawl away. So yeah, then Merry and Pippin see that the orcs are making one desperate push to the forest, and they're like, you know what? Let's just leave. Let's get out of here. I don't want to see this anymore. And they're like, I guess we'll go in the Fangorn forest. They told us to avoid this forest, but I mean, they look behind them. They see orcs shouting, fighting men on horses, and they're like, it's better than that. Let's go. Let's hit the old dusty trail, and off they go.
Well, they do watch a little bit of the fighting. They watch. They do not. They actually turn before it ends, but fortunately, our narrator, Frodo, did a little bit of research. So it was that they did not see the last stand when Ugluk was overtaken and brought to bay at the very edge of Fangorn. There he was slain at last by Eomer, the third marshal of the Mark, who dismounted and fought him sword to sword. That is a very saga-esque description, by the way. That could have been right out of a Norse myth. The whole dismounting and fighting sword to sword. they tend to like, they don't go into super details of like blow by blow combat, but they always like to describe to you like if
Yeah, it sounds like a better idea. Just trample him.
yeah, but it's manlier to fight him sword to sword. Like
I
it would
guess
be
that's
much
true.
smarter to just ride a horse into him with a spear out. But Iomer is such a man. He stopped his horse, got off his horse, set his spear down, pulled out his sword, and then fought this guy because he had the time. The combat is described again pretty good. This I've heard good and bad depending on your preferences here. This book, The Two Towers, is the most like military fiction part of Lord of the Rings. There's a pretty good description of medieval combat in here. The Rohirrim cavalry surrounds the orcs. Most of the orcs break, run, and are mowed down. The orcs that do not break form a wedge. Of course, the Fighting Uruk'hai, Nate's alma mater.
Goddamn right.
They form a wedge. They do their best, and I think it's a case of they're doomed, but they're taking out horsemen right and left. So Eomer,
I mean, 11.
it's pretty good for dudes on foot being just rode past by dudes on horses with spears over and over and over again. The fact that they're not dead is pretty impressive. So Eomer is like, okay, I'll fight you man to man, and then kills him.
And then says, "You're cooked." And he teabags him.
Who says you're cooked?
The orc leader, Uruk'hai leader.
In the afternoon, Ugluk's troop overtook the northerners. They were flagging in the rays of the bright sun. Winter sun shining in a pale, cool sky though it was. Their heads were down and their tongues lolling out. Maggots jeered the Isengarders. You're cooked. The Whiteskins will catch you and eat you. They're coming. He did. He just said you're cooked.
Yeah.
That's
true.
There's another quote I wanted to call attention to. This is the one where the Merry and Pippin, so that we've just described this hellacious torture. They're going from battle scene to battle scene. They turned and walked side by side. Behind them, the light grew in the east. As they walked, they compared notes, talking lightly in hobbit fashion, of the things that had happened since their capture. No listener would have guessed from their words that they had suffered cruelly and had been in dire peril, going without hope towards torment and death, or that even now, as they knew well, they had little chance of ever finding friend or safety again. I kind of wondered if that's not like an experience, like a weird surreal thing Tolkien noticed participating in war. Like you're sitting in a trench talking about the weather as bombs go off around you and people are being gassed to death because, like, I don't know, what else are you going to do? There's just nothing to do, but it's also the most stressful moment of your life.
I'm sure that Merry and Pippin are going to have to get with a hobbit therapist after this to
get with a hobbit,
really work through that trauma.
The weird thing is the hobbit therapist and the hobbit bartender are the same guy.
Oh dear.
He could prescribe something for that.
There you go. It's that pipe weed. Just smoke a bunch of this.
You're going to need that medicinal old Toby. I was also interested in the orc alcohol that they give that seems to restore energy and pump people up and gets them running for long distances. It reminded me very much of the elvish wine that Gandalf was carrying from Rivendell.
Yes, I thought the same thing. I wondered if it was the same thing at first, but then was like, there's no way.
It's clearly not the same thing because the elvish stuff tastes good. It's restorative. They even compare it to Lembas. It seems to have a similar magical property to Lembas, but a different tone. Like it does the restoration bit, but the lembas bread seems to convey some sense of wholesomeness, some sense of fulfillment. Like it seems to, and this is very like Tolkien magic, it seems to convey some aspect of the thought that was put into making it. Like Galadriel made this lembas bread to sustain these people on a difficult quest. She was worried about them. She wanted to keep them safe. She had like warm feelings toward them. It's going to be similar with the elf wine. They gave this to Gandalf as a gift to help him. The orcs are also drinking what seems to be some kind of magic potion, or, you know, could be pharmacological. I don't know. But I'm guessing it came from Saruman. And I'm guessing the thought Saruman put into making it was one of...
Get off your ass. You have work to do.
Yeah, you're going to run until you die. This is going to help you run until you die. And he despises the orcs. And he sees them as tools and pawns, and he doesn't care about their fulfillment or any of that. So it's...
Wow.
It carries with it. Like, it works, but it almost seems to be an intentional contrast of the two alcohols between the industrialized Saruman and the handcrafted Galadriel, which is something that Tolkien personally very much valued. Is like, yeah, this manufactured, mass-produced, highly processed food will it'll keep the chemical furnace in your body running, but it's not going to make you...
But you are going to have some terrible gas.
It's not going to make you feel good. It doesn't have any emotional warmth to it. Like it's the difference between...
Yeah, I've seen that episode where SpongeBob's one Krabby Patty beats all of Neptune's millions of Krabby Patties because he reads a bedtime story into the pickle while he tucks it in.
Ironically, that's a perfect analogy. I'm mad.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm very angry that you brought that up. But it is very much like that Krabby Patty contest between Neptune and SpongeBob. Worth thinking about. I don't know how many more chapters we get that give us a good look at orc society. We don't get a lot from orcs, so this was good. I liked how Grishnak called Saruman they were muckrakers for a filthy wizard or something.
Yeah, don't talk shit on my dad like that, or I'll remove your head
not his dad.
From your shoulders. Might as well be.
I hate that movie thing. You know, the thing is, I know why they did it for the movie. It makes it much less complicated. But that's kind of a bad thing, isn't it? Shouldn't we feel a little uncomfortable about what's going on with the orcs?
If anything, I want to kill him even more now. Now I've got the taste of orc blood.
There's another thesis statement from the weirdly perceptive Grishnak. Little people should not meddle in affairs that are too big for them. His fingers continued to grope. There was a light like a pale but hot fire in his eyes. I'm sorry, I kept reading there. But yeah, so Grishnak is even commenting on the fact that the hobbits are small, that they're like, this is the fate of the world type stuff. Grishnak has some sense of what this war means and what the consequences of it will be. And he thinks these little idiots are in way over their head, and they are. But it's weird that Grishnak is not similarly in over his head. I think it's worth pointing out the Rohirrim, some of the medieval combat stuff I liked. I liked the encirclement, the lighting of watchfires, horse bowmen. I don't see that a ton in fantasy for some reason. Maybe I'm just missing obvious examples, but I don't know how common it was for European archers to shoot from horseback. I know that was like a big innovation of the Mongolians that allowed them to just like sweep.
And the Parthians.
Yeah. But do you know that? Maybe you actually, with your military histories.
I do not.
Yeah, I have no idea how common it was for certainly like Germanic cavalry in the Middle Ages to shoot from horseback, but the Rohirrim do, which gives them a huge advantage over the orcs. They use that. They ride up, they take a shot, they ride out before the orcs can return fire. No, I think.
All right.
Yeah, this was just a cool look at what's going on in the minds of the enemy.
And also Pippin.
But Pippin is the least interesting part. The most interesting characters in this chapter are not Merry and Pippin, but Ugluk and Grishnak. And they deserve more shine on their names, kind of, I guess. They do eat people. That's a drawback.
And Mahur.
And Mahur, yes. He was there.
He participated.
So
he managed to draw off a small amount of the enemy, who effortlessly destroyed his band,
and then turned around and
turned around to finish his friends off. Yes.
Yeah. The orcs do not have a great tactical advantage, but also it is kind of funny how bad Saruman's his Fighting Uruk'hai. They're great fighters. Not so much on the tactics. But yeah.
Hey, they formed a wedge.
So Merry and Pippin have crawled off into the forest, and nothing terrible will probably happen in the forbidden forest of Fanghorn that Celeborn warned them not to go into.
Yeah, but Galadriel didn't warn us, so I feel confident.
I'd feel more scared if Galadriel told me not to.
Yeah.
Poor Celeborn. He's a pretty good guy.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door which began. Now far ahead the road is gone, and I must follow it, if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet. And whither then, I cannot say.